Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Wednesday night class. Reading through the Tanak. Okay, I'll be dealing with 2 Chronicles 28 and Jubilee 29. I kind of tapped on a little bit last night, but I didn't get a chance to go all the way in on it, so I'm gonna pick that up tonight. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine. These videos lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you are listening to, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. We have our Cash App at the bottom for those who want to support the channel, help it move along. That too would be greatly appreciated. Those that don't know, this is the non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanak and the Torah. Tanak in the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our reading through the Tanakh. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms. We have some current event, some news-no information, and we're going to open it up for some Q&A for anybody having questions or comments. And then we go into our topic, which is, as I mentioned earlier, 1 Chronicles 28, and then Jubilee 29 shines a light on some things that's in those chapters. Okay, and then we'll close out. This moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts, and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. Oh Lord, we pray unto the Lord, our God, and we make our confessions. O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping covenant and mercy to them that love thee and to them that keep thy commandments. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us a confusion of face, as it is this day to the men of Judah and unto the inhabitants of Jerusalem and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries where thou hast driven us, because of our trespass that we have trespassed against thee. O Lord, hear this prayer and cause thy face to shine upon thy people for your sake. O Lord, open your eyes and incline your ears to hear and behold our condition. O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, hearken and do, and defer not for thy own sake, O my people. For your God, for thy people in your land need you desperately at this hour. Please be unto me. Okay. So with that being said, we go into some Psalms. Let me read my Psalm. Okay. Trying to get situated. Okay. Psalms right quick. I think it's Psalm 32. Okay. All right. It says the blessedness of forgiveness, a Psalm of David. Okay. Blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Blessed is the man unto whom the Lord imputed not iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no guile. When I kept silent, my bones waxed old through my ruin all the day long. For day and night thy hand was heavy upon me. My moisture is turning into drought of summer. Selah, I'll acknowledge my sin unto thee, and my iniquity have I not hid. I said, I will confess my transgression unto the Lord, and thou forgavest the iniquity of my sin. Selah, for this shall everyone that is godly pray unto thee in a time when thou mayest be found. Surely in the floods of great waters they shall not come nigh unto him. Thou art my hiding place. Thou shalt preserve me from trouble, and thou shalt compass me about with songs of deliverance. Selah, I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with my eye. Be ye not as the horse or as the mule, which have no understanding, whose mouth must be held in with a bit and a bridle, lest they come near unto thee. Many sorrows shall be to the wicked, but he that trusteth in the Lord, mercy shall compass him about. Be glad in the Lord, rejoice ye are righteous, and shout for joy, all ye that are upright in heart. So that was Psalm 32, the blessedness of forgiveness. Anybody any comments on that? Okay, yeah, so I'm going to shine a light on one verse. It says, verse 2, blessed is the man whom the Lord imputed not iniquity, and whose spirit there is no guile. So this verse right here shines a light for me on the understanding of you have so many people that can't comprehend or they can't believe that David is the Messiah, right? They say that because of sin. You know, the way the Gentile laid the story out, that JC is supposed to be never seen, right? So you got to be the Messiah because he never seen. But Solomon, the wisest man on the earth, already told us anybody that's born of a woman came through the matrix. They born in sin. So how he seeing now? So he's born of a woman just like David was, just like Enoch. So it makes no sense. But anyway, we see what happens in that situation. Like I said, he created these 7 angels for a reason. Then he has the Lord of hosts, and all that he does is for a reason. So let's go back to this story I always go to, where David had a vision of his what was going to happen to him after he passed away, and he put it in 2 Samuel. Let's look at it. 23 right quick. Chapter 22, I think, yeah. Chapter 22 says that verses, I'm kind of skip through this, I go here all the time. 2 Samuel 22, verse 4 says, okay, says, verse 4, David says, I will call on the Lord, who is worthy to be praised, so shall I be saved from my enemies, right? When the waves of death, right, we died, you've seen all this in the vision. When the waves of death compassed me, floods of ungodly men made me afraid. These spiritual giants, and they in hell, because that's what it was created for. The sorrows of hell compassed me about, right? And the snares of death prevented me. In my distress, right, he had left his body, right? In my distress, I called upon the Lord and cried to my God, and he did hear my voice out of his temple, and my cry did enter into his ears. Then the earth shook and trembled. Foundations of the heavens moved and shook because of he was raw. Keep in mind now, it's David. All this going on because of David. Verse 8, then the earth shook and trembled. Foundations of the heavens moved and shook because he was raw. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth. Devoured coals were kindled. He bowed, the heavens also came down. Darkness was under his feet, and he rode upon a cherubim, and he did fly, and he was seen upon the wings of the wind. And he made darkness a pavilion round about him, dark waters, thick cloud of the skies, and through the brightness before him were coals of fire kindled. And the Lord thundered from heaven, and the Most High uttered his voice, and he sent out arrows, scattered them, lightning, and discomfited them. That's these wicked spirits. 16, and the channels of the sea were appeared. The foundations of the world were discovered at the rebuking of the Lord, at the blast of the breath of his nostrils. He sent from above. He took me, David. He drew me out of many waters. He delivered me from my strong enemies and from them for they were too strong for me. They prevented me in the day of my calamity when David died, but the Lord was my stay. And here we go right here. This is what David was talking about. He brought, after all that David had done, right, in his life, you know, they prevented me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord was my stay. The Lord of hosts, he brought me forth also in a large place. He delivered me because he delighted in me. Now here you go. The Lord rewarded me. See that? The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness. and according to the cleanliness of my hands, he have recompensed me. So what do? 22, for I have kept all the ways of the Lord. I have not wickedly departed from my God, and for all his judgments were before me. And as for his statutes, I did not depart from them. I was also upright before him, and I have kept myself from my iniquities. Now here you go. Therefore, the Lord hath recompensed me according to my righteousness and according to my cleanliness in his hands. So when David passed away, left the body, he came down, delivered David from these wicked spirits, brought him up, and he recompensed righteousness on him. So David no longer had those sins that everybody looking at. He recompensed righteousness on him because of David traveled that path. He learned when he got old not to go to the left or the right. The Lord, whatever he said do it by the book and by the precept. And so when he passed away, the Lord recompensed righteousness on him. So let me give you an example of that. Nobody will have to die for righteousness to be recompensed on you or beat half to death with a cat of nine tails. So let's look at it. I mean, Ezekiel, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see, make sure. I mean, Ezekiel, no, this Zechariah. Tripping. Okay, let me get it. Zechariah chapter 3. This is how what David was told us in 2 Samuel. This how it's done right here. And notice who doing it also, because that's important. So Zechariah chapter 3. Joshua, right? I read this last night. Joshua is the high priest. It's always got to be a high priest over Israel. There's always got to be a king over Israel. The king got to always be out of David's lineage, and the high priest has to be out of Aaron's lineage. You got to cover with both of those men. So when it was time for them to leave Babylon, he called forth Zerubbabel, Daniel 9:25, the Messiah. He called him to take his rightful position to lead Israel out of the land of Chaldeans back to Jerusalem. And he called Joshua to go with him, the high priest. So they haven't been in the land. They ain't been making no sacrifices, no day of atonement, none of that. So they sins. They full of sin. So let's look at what he does. And who do it? Zechariah chapter 3. And he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord. So the angel of the Lord there, Yahweh ain't there, Yahweh ain't there, but Satan is there. And Satan standing at his right hand. So the angel of the Lord, Michael, and standing on his right side, and Satan standing on his Michael there, Satan standing on his right side to resist him. Now here you go. We're gonna find out who the Lord is too. And the Lord, this angel, said unto Satan, the Lord rebuke thee, even the Lord that have chosen Jerusalem rebuke thee. And of this brand, is this brand not plucked out toward, this brand not plucked out of the fire. Now Joshua was clothed with a filthy garment, right? Before the angel. He got a filthy garment on because they've been in Babylon 70 years. Right? 4. And he said, the angel answered and spake unto those that stood before him, saying, what? He talking to the other angels, and he answered and said unto those that stood before him, saying, take away the filthy garment from him. And unto him he said, behold, look at this, behold, I have caused this angel, Lord of hosts, unto him he said, behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with a change of raiment. So when you understand that right there, just that in itself, it kills the New Testament and its ideologies. But let me tell you why. So the angel right here said, he took away all of Joshua's sins. Nobody has to die. Nobody has to get beat or pierced on the side. None of that. He caused Joshua, the high priest, to go away from him. Same angel just did that to David. He came down, thundered from heaven, got David and delivered him from those wicked spirits that was in hell, brought him back up. Then he recompensed righteousness on him. What we need JC for? And where was he at? In the New Testament, with JC doing all this. This angel just wielding all his power. Where was he at? Okay? So I'm going to read it again, verse 4. And he answered, the angel answered, and spake to those stood before him, the other six. All seven of them were left. Take away the filthy garment from him. And unto him he said, Behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with a change of raiment. And I said, let them set a fair mitre upon his head, so that, and they set a fair mitre upon his head, and clothed him with garments. And the angel of the Lord stood by. See that? The angel of the Lord stood by. You know, we house out there. Yahweh not there. And the angel of the Lord protested unto Joshua. Thus says the Lord of hosts, if thou wilt walk in my ways, see that? In the Lord of hosts' ways, this angel, my ways, and if thou wilt keep my charge, then thou shalt also judge my house. What house? The house of Israel, right? In the temple, and shall also keep my courts. What courts? The courts in Jerusalem. And I shall also keep my courts, and I will give thee places to walk among these that stand by. So that answers a whole lot of stuff right there. So who is that that's standing by? The other six angels. Michael, the Lord of hosts, 6 other angels with him. 8. Hear now, Joshua. Check it out. This is another one of those plugs, plagiarism right here in verse 8. Hear now, O Joshua, right? You got the Joshua's out of Aaron's lineage, the high priest, and then you got the king. They got to be identified out of Aaron's lineage, branch out of David, right? So verse 8, they say this JC. Hear now, O Joshua, the high priest, thou and thy fellows that sit before thee, for they are men wondered at. For behold, I will bring forth my servant the branch. They tell you that's JC. But this is in Babylon. He just identified the high priest out of Aaron's lineage. Now you got to identify the branch out of David. That's the Zerubbabel. But they tell you, and they can't take it back. You can't take it back. We ain't playing marbles. You can't take it back. You for 25 years you've been saying that this is JC. But we know now this ain't JC. This is Zerubbabel. He just told Zerubbabel, cleaned him up. It's time for the Israelites to go back. The 70 years is up. He just protested in Joshua's ear and cleaned him up. Then he told him, now it's time for us to bring forth the branch. What branch? The branch out of David, Zerubbabel. So you say, what are you talking about? Well, if you go to the next chapter, chapter 4, he's going to tell you in verse 6. He says, start at verse 5. Then the angel that talked with me, right, answered and said unto me, knowest thou what these be? And I said, no, my Lord. Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, this is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel. There go the branch right there. Saying, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord, the host. Who art thou, O great mountain, before Zerubbabel? See that? Thou shalt become a plain, right? That's the Babylonian Empire. That's the mountain. Before Zerubbabel, thou shalt become a plain, and he shall bring forth the headstone thereof with shouting, crying, grace unto grace. Then, moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, the hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house, and his hands shall also finish it. This is the second temple that nobody sees, know nothing about, right? When it came back from Babylon, this is the Messiah right here. It just means anointed. And the hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. His hands shall also finish it. And thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts have sent me unto you. See that? So anybody that don't know who the Lord of hosts is, right here. If you didn't know, he's telling you right here. The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. His hands shall also finish it. And thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts have sent me unto you. Not your house, okay? For who have despised the day of small things, for they shall rejoice and see the plummet in the hands of Zerubbabel with those seven. There go to seven. Who is those seven? Okay, gotta find out who that is. They are the eyes of the Lord who run to and fro in the whole earth. And I already identified them in the very beginning. Creator made seven angels do all this beating for him. That way he can't deal with mankind. He formed these seven angels. And the first one he formed, which is Israel's Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, is Michael. He who is like Yahweh. That's why so many people don't see him in the scriptures, because they mistaken him for the Lord of hosts, for Yahweh, because of his power and power that he's willing. He's like Yahweh, but he's not Yahweh. That's who came down, like I showed you, and delivered the Israelites out of Egypt. Moved from the front of the Israelites and came to the back and cut the Egyptians. That's who came and got Sarah from Amalek, and came and delivered from Pharaoh on behalf of Abraham. That's who Moses met on the mountain. It ain't Yahweh. Okay, so that's what David was talking about right there when he says, what he said about he came and delivered him, and he imparted righteousness on him. So after he delivered David, after his death, and he delivered him from those wicked spirits, he imparted righteousness on him, preparing him for when he bring him back in the last days in Psalms 132. And so that's why so many people can't understand that he can't be David because of all the things David done. He cleaned all it up. He got the ability to do that. He cleaned David up and imparted righteousness on him. Okay, let me get this, man. Okay. Somebody got anything on that? Comments?
Shalom.
Okay.
On the part when you talked about Amalek giving Sarah back to Abraham, before he had done that, it said somewhere where he took Sarah. So is that took anything that was intimate, or was that just he brought her into into his kingdom?
Well, that's like I was saying. That's one of the reasons why I decided to make this advanced Bible study, because so that question is going to take you off to things that a lot of people don't know nothing about. So Rebecca had two sons, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, she had two sons. They fighting in the womb. One of them come out totally different than the other one, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, ain't that what happened with Cain and Abel?
Yes, sir.
Totally different. Wasn't the serpent one of Cain's father?
Yes, sir.
So who you think Esau's father is? He hairy, and he red and hairy all over. What's that? The Amalekites. And I mean what they look like, what their DNA look like. Red head.
Red hair.
Red giants, hairy.
Esau.
There you go. And then you go when you go back and read the story, like I said, they didn't just make a couple of mistakes here and there. They butchered our scriptures. So
Right.
So when you go to that and you see that Amalek was looking out his window after Sarah had been with him. I mean Isaac. Isaac was looking out his window, and he saw that he saw that Isaac was sporting with Rebecca. So when he saw that, being a man, he knew Isaac wasn't none of his sister. I mean, Rebecca wasn't none of his sister, it was his wife. So he called him and said, "What is this that thou hast done to me?" So where that take you? Right back to the Genesis. We know what the serpent done when he asked him, "What is this that thou hast done?" He didn't lay with Eve. He lay with Eve.
Yes. So
So the
that
same
connects
thing right
all the
there.
dots.
Huh?
Yes. I said that connects all of the dots when
Exactly.
they try to say he was the Lord of hosts was born of
Right.
yes. Yes, sir.
Exactly. Right. And then those type of questions is the answer, unless the question is asked, it's not gonna come up because it's so people can't handle it. A lot of people can't handle that. But it's right in your face once the light is shined on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So anybody got anything else on that before we go to our current events? Okay, here we go.
Devastation that we have seen in 2024, in 2023, in 2022, and we're going to see in 2025. FEMA will not be able to handle what is coming. I'm going to break all this down in just a moment, explain what is going on, why this should be so concerning to every single person here inside the United States. But before I do, all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now we can. So here's what we know. As of right now, thousands have been evacuated in Southern California due to fire and wind event. Now, we're going to read a little bit of this, but first, I want to show you, what is happening. We're going to get some live updates here. So it says California wildfires, live updates. Pacific Palisades wildfire grows rapidly. It says powerful winds whip up a fire in the coastal Pacific Palisades neighborhood of Los Angeles, forcing 30,000 residents to evacuate. Now, I want to read you a little bit of this, okay? But first, let me play you a little bit of kind of what this is looking like. This right here is in Southern California, okay? You can see, look at the smoke rolling. Just watch this. Watch a few seconds of this, okay? This is what it's looking like. The fire is building rapidly. And we see authorities struggle to put this out because of the wind that we are currently experiencing. Now, it may not be in Southern, and that's perfectly fine. I want to address what's going on, why this could be a big, big deal. And then we're going to get to some of the stuff that we're hearing from these live updates. Here's what we know. According to reports, well, first off, today is, I believe, the last day to apply. Today's the deadline to apply for hurricane funding. Okay, for many people, they have not received funding for the damages from Hurricane Milton, okay, Hurricane Helene. They haven't experienced that, for it's been years, but they haven't experienced that kind of devastation. And so now they're trying to build their lives back, rebuild. Here's the issue. They're not going to be able to do it. For some people, I have friends that say they're not getting a penny from their insurance company because there was not enough damage. There was damage, but there wasn't enough damage for them to be able to claim anything on their insurance. That's devastating because this is going to cost, probably tens of thousands, if not $100,000 to fix their homes. But here's what's going on. FEMA will likely not have enough money to pay out all the claims that we are going to experience in 2025. FEMA struggled in 2024. FEMA was running out of money. There are still people from the fires in Hawaii that get devastated, lost their home, lost their business, completely got upended, and they've only received to this day $750 from the federal government. That's it. The FEMA money's still not coming out yet, okay, according to multiple reports. That's devastating because that was years ago. Now, here's where things are getting very interesting, and it has to do with insurance, okay? I want to read this to you, and then we're going to talk about insurance, because what's happening right now in the state of California, in the state of Florida, and we're starting to see this in between as well, and on both coasts, we're starting to see insurance companies are now pulling out, and they do not want to insure certain people in certain areas of the United States. On top of that, we're also seeing insurance companies are hiking premiums so high that people find it almost unaffordable, or in many cases, unaffordable. They can't pay it, especially when their insurance on their car is more expensive than the payment, or the insurance payment on the house plus property taxes is more expensive than the mortgage itself. How insane is that?
So, like I said, we see that all, not just in America, we see it all over the earth. All these, the Most High got everybody on the move. You got evacuees and immigrants. These populations of immigrants moving all over the place. You got people on the move. That's a sign. Anybody have any comments on that video?
Shalom. Yes, sir. I was talking earlier out of Ezekiel 35:4. They are relating that to what's happening in California.
Ezekiel 38:4.
Ezekiel 35:4.
Okay, let me see. Let me read it. 35:4. Okay. Okay. 35:4 says, I will lay thy cities to waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel. Right. Now I wouldn't say that. I say he's let's go back and read the first few verses. It's talking to Esau, and Esau is in the land of Israel. Well, he's talking about the land of Israel. He's gonna lay it waste. That where the Israelites over there now. I mean Edomites. Let me get it. 35. So when you start out, it says the title over 35 is the prophecy against Mount Seir. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir. See that? And prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. And I will lay thy cities to waste. Verse 4. I will lay thy cities to waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had come to an end. So that's when Antiochus came. So that takes you to Obadiah, and then it'll seal the deal, right? So you go to Obadiah, right? And then he tell you what happened. Starting at verse 10, it says Judah's misfortunes in Obadiah. It's only one chapter. For by violence against thy brother, Jacob, talking to Esau, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off from forever. In the day that thou stoodest, this is when Antiochus came, in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that strangers, the Greeks, carried away his captive, his forces, and foreigners entered into the gates, cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was one of them. But thou should not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger, and neither should thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day that of their destruction, neither should thou have spoken proudly in the day of their distress. Now here you go right here. Thou should not have entered into the gates of my people, Jerusalem, in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou should not have looked upon their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither should thou have not hast and cut off those that did escape, and neither should thou have delivered up those that did remain in the day of their distress. So this is Antioch Epiphanes. This is when Israel was cast out. The prophecy of Daniel said that the Most High any nation that came to a full. And then right after that, Antiochus came, the prince that shall come. In Daniel 9, he came and he is all atrocities that he done is in the first Maccabees. And so they came in, stole the land of Israel, and they dwelled in the land of Israel. So they committed, wherever they committed those atrocities at, that's where he's gonna judge them at. So they over there in our land right now. So what we just read in Ezekiel is him saying when he come back, he's gonna kill all, shed all the blood. He's gonna lay them on the mountains of Israel. Let's read that. Okay, go to back to Ezekiel. Okay. Go back to Ezekiel 35. I keep reading. So it says 35, start at 7. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and out cut off from it him that passeth out and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains. See that? We're going to see where these mountains at. I will fill his mountains with the slain of men in the hills and in the valleys, and in all thy rivers shall thy fall that are slain with the sword. And I will make thee for perpetual desolation, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord, because thou hast said, these two nations, see that? Judah and Israel, these two nations are, and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord is there. Therefore, as I live, says the Lord God, I will even do according to thine anger, and according to thy envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, and I will make myself known among them when I have judged you. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord, and that I have heard all the blasphemy which thou hast spoken. New Testament, all this garbage they got out there. Say, and blasphemy which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying they are laid desolate and are given unto us for consume. Thus with your mouth ye have boasted against me, and I have multiplied your words against me, and I have heard them. Thus saith the Lord God, when the whole earth rejoiceth, I will make thee most desolate, as thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee, and thou shalt be a desolation on Mount Seir and all Edom, even all of it, and they shall know that I am the Lord. So what is Edom? The Esau, when you look at the map, Esau was right next door to Israel as a nation. When Antiochus came and destroyed them, they came down and helped them. They occupied the land. That's who in the land during the so-called time of the Romans. Esau in the land. So it's Edom. It's been renamed Edom because of Esau, Judah and Edom. That's how you get that word. Edom and Judah combined, Edom. Okay, so that's the land of Israel. So in order for us to go back, when he says in Ezekiel 37, let me read that. When you go to Ezekiel 37, you'll see that he says, and I read this last night. Well, so he says in verse 23 of Ezekiel 37, neither shall they defile themselves any more with their detestable things, nor with their transgressions, but I will save them out of all the places where they have sinned, and I will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I shall be their God. So what do you mean by cleanse them? The people that ran us out of the land and killed Israelites all over the mountains of Israel, the same thing has to be done to them. The land got to be cleansed. So we got to cleanse the land before we go in there. With the same people that what they done to us, it's got to be done to them. And so you say, what are you talking about? Go back to what we the class we had on when David got ready to die. He told Solomon what to do. He told him to kill Joab, all the people that had wronged David, the house of David. He told Solomon, deal with Shema, deal with Joab, right? Deal with Attar, the high. He had to do all of them to cleanse the house of David. This is the same thing. Okay. That make any sense?
Yes, Shalom. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. Anybody else got anything on what they heard? Or okay, let's see. Well, video. Let's see. Yeah, I was talking about how slick Esau is in this video. Right here, I'll give you a prime example of how they operate. Let me get it. Let me see. Okay. Here you go. My bad. So this is how Esau operates.
Today's actually a really.
You throw the rock with the left hand, then hide it. You're doing something else with the right hand. Right here.
Yeah, has always been controversial. But what if there's more to the story than we're being told? Behind the aid programs and diplomatic partnerships, is there a hidden war being waged, one aimed at exploiting Africa's resources and influence? Today, we're uncovering the truth about the West's hidden war in Africa. By the end of this video, you'll understand how Western powers operate.
Notice what he said. How the West is in Africa. Well, we know China in Africa, but check it out.
In Africa, the methods they use to maintain control, and what this means for the future of the continent. This is about more than politics, it's about power and survival. Let's start with foreign aid. Western countries like the United States, the UK, and France provide billions in development aid to Africa every year. On the surface, this seems like goodwill, building schools, providing healthcare, and supporting governments. But aid often comes with strings attached, giving Western powers significant leverage. For example, aid is frequently tied to political reforms, economic policies, or trade agreements that favor Western corporations. Some African leaders argue this makes their countries depend on the West, while critics say it's a form of neocolonialism disguised as charity. Then there's the military presence. The US operates AFRICOM, a military command focused on Africa, with bases and operations across the continent. Officially, it's about fighting terrorism and ensuring security. But many believe it's also about protecting American interests, particularly access to critical resources like oil and minerals. France has an even deeper military footprint in Africa, with troops stationed in former colonies like Mali, Chad, and Niger. While these missions are framed as peacekeeping efforts, they often align with France's economic and political interests, such as securing access to uranium for its nuclear power plants. Western corporations are another key player in this hidden war. From mining to agriculture, multinational companies dominate many sectors of Africa's economy. They extract resources like gold, diamonds, and oil, often leaving local communities with little to show for it. For example, in Nigeria, oil giants like Shell and Chevron have made billions, while local communities in the Niger Delta deal with oil spills, polluted waters, and health crises. The same pattern repeats across Africa. Foreign corporations profit, while the environmental and social costs are borne by Africans. Trade agreements also play a role. Many African countries are locked into deals that prioritize raw material exports over local industrialization. Europe, for instance, benefits from importing African raw materials at low prices while selling back expensive finished goods. This trade imbalance keeps African economies dependent and unable to compete globally. Let's talk about debt. Many African nations borrow heavily from Western financial institutions like the World and the International Monetary Fund, IMF. While these loans fund development projects, they often come with strict conditions like cutting public spending or privatizing state-owned enterprises. These policies can weaken local economies and increase poverty. Here's an example. Zambia, one of the world's largest copper producers, has struggled under a massive debt burden. Western financial institutions pushed for privatization, which allowed foreign companies to take control of Zambia's copper mines. While these companies made huge profits, Zambians saw little improvement in their standard of living. Meanwhile, Western media often portrays Africa as a continent in crisis filled with poverty, corruption, and conflict. This narrative reinforces the idea that Africa needs Western help, justifying intervention while ignoring the role of foreign powers creating or worsening these problems. To China, for
stretching will not make you flexible, and it will.
They're talking about Europe and France and all that, but all of a sudden, now it's China. Here you go.
Similar concerns are growing. In Zambia, reports suggest that Chinese entities could take over key infrastructure, including the National Electricity Company, if debts go unpaid. But China's silent war isn't just about infrastructure, it's also about trade. China is now Africa's largest trading partner, with two-way trade surpassing $250 billion annually. Africa exports raw materials to China like oil, minerals, and timber while importing finished goods like machinery and electronics. This trade imbalance raises concerns. While China benefits from Africa's resources, African nations struggle to develop local industries. For example, countries exporting raw cocoa or raw oil often rely on foreign companies to process these resources, missing out on the most lucrative part.
So, like I said before, when we went to Babylon, the Chaldeans, all they did, Nebuchadnezzar and the Chaldeans just did what the Lord of hosts said they was going to do, what he got them for. That's the reason he went and won the war for Nebuchadnezzar, excuse me, against the Assyrians, because he wanted him to go and he wanted him to fulfill something he had spoken, which was to judge the Israelites. And then after he did what he wanted him to do, he judged him. So, but when you understand that these people, Russia and China, they prophesied in 2nd Ezra to come, they're the ones that are going to help, use the Most High. The Most High going to use them to deliver us, but not for right reasons. That's why they going to get judged. They coming into Africa, and they using a different tactic. They helping us, they building up the infrastructure, but they got a hidden agenda. But they still going to accomplish what the Creator wanted to do, which was deliver us from this hellhole that we've been over here for the last 2,000 some years. So Russia and China is showing us favoritism, but they got a hidden agenda. And they only doing what the Creator told them to do. And after they finish their job, just like he did the rest of them, he gonna judge them. Just gonna be a lot quicker than what he did the rest of them, because we at the end. After they deliver us and do what he wanted them to do, they're gonna get judged. You have to understand it, and that's what I was saying about yesterday and Sunday was they got their own hidden agenda about they concoct their own end times, but it's going right along with what the Creator already said. They fulfilling prophecy, but they thinking they did something super slick, but the plan they got is the plan that the Creator spoke of through the prophets before Israel was taken away as a nation, and all we doing is fulfilling it. They think they're doing something else. For example, those World War I and World War II was for Esau to come back to the land of Israel. They World War I, they ended up getting they made the agreement with the Great Britain over there, and then in World War II, they got the land. And they went back to the land. Well, what you talking about? Well, they got to go back to the land, like I just said. They got to be judged in order for the Creator to cleanse the land of Israel. The people that perpetrated ran us out the land and killed a bunch of us in the mountains of Israel. They got to be judged in the mountains of Israel. So all they doing, that whole scheme with Albert Pike and all that, the 3 world wars, is all it's part of prophecy. They gotta be in the land of Israel, and he gotta judge them in the land of Israel, cleanse the land, then we go back. And it's playing out right in front of, just like paperwork. That's the crazy part about it. Any comments? Okay. Yeah, I was gonna play this right here, and then we'll go into some Q&A. Right here.
2025 would mark a year of major expansion for BRICS, with many rapidly growing economies joining the economic alliance. Now, in the very first week of 2025, Russia has already reported that 23 countries are lining up to join BRICS, signaling strong interest in full membership. Among these new members, Indonesia has officially become the first to join BRICS in 2025, sparking a chain reaction. But how did this happen?
This is what we're using right here to deliver us. This BRICS that's headed by Russia and China.
Then, what benefits will Indonesia, as a new full member, gain from joining? And who are the 23 countries that are also looking to join BRICS in 2025? Moreover, how does this expansion impact BRICS's broader goal of dollarization, especially with President Trump threatening to impose 100% tariffs? In this video, we'll explore how BRICS is set to challenge the West in 20.
So let's look at that right quick. The Israelites, he said that he told them, we read it in the curses. Even Moses even told them on Mount Sinai, when he's in Ezekiel 30, in Deuteronomy 32, when he sung the song to them, the song of Moses, that they was gonna go astray from him. And then you got the curses that tell us that we're gonna go to a land that's far from our land, and we're gonna deal with the people that lack knowledge, people that don't care about the young and the old, and we're gonna pick up their gods and worship their gods. Well, it was nothing. Israel. We look back on the Bible, look back on the scriptures, and we see it was nothing they could do. They walked right into that prophecy. Ain't nothing they can do about it. Same thing now. These people, he's already spoken. They walking right into the prophecy. They can't stop it. He said that we was gonna go into captivity in slave ships. Look at all that happened on the continent before they came. But the prophecy, what he spoke, came right down the pipe, just like he said. Can't nobody get around. You can't get around when the Most High speak forth prophecy. No matter how it look, it's gonna end up just like he spoke it would. It's gonna happen. We see the Ezekiel chapter 60, Isaiah chapter 60, forces of the Gentiles gonna be converted back to us. We looking at it. It ain't nothing. They can think they doing something slick, but what we looking at is the forces of the Gentiles. Even though they kicking and screaming, they being converted right back to us, just like he said. Ain't nothing nobody can do about it. Okay, and like I said right here, we see what's happening.
25.
Out of all they done done with 2025 with Trump and all the propaganda they got going over here in America, people still, Most High prophecy still, the people ain't siding with this place because he through with it. They siding with what the Most High said with prophecy.
BRICS
right
entered
here.
an unprecedented chapter in its history. The bloc, which already represents 45%
They going to
of
the
the
block,
world's
but
population, and
I
roughly
mean,
30%
what spoke
of
was
global
gonna happen.
GDP, officially announced its expansion
This
plans.
place over.
Here at WCC Furniture,
No matter how it look,
we believe that shopping.
it's going to unfold just like he said. Let me get this.
Brazil, assuming the presidency for 2025, delivered the first major announcement by welcoming Indonesia as its newest member, signaling that BRICS is not just limited to Latin America, but is also strengthening its presence in Asia. Indonesia, the largest economy and most populous nation in Southeast Asia, significantly enhances BRICS's influence in a region historically dominated by Western powers, particularly the United States. By including Indonesia, BRICS not only gains a key player in the Asian market, but also showcases its commitment to providing an independent platform for nations seeking a more balanced role in the global order. Indonesia's decision to join BRICS carries considerable weight due to its strategic geopolitical location at the crossroads of major trade routes. The nation also wields significant...
Yeah, another thing to think about, I was sitting there thinking about it last night and again this morning, when you understand the Road and Belt Initiative, I keep bringing up that China implemented a long time ago, maybe I think in like 2008 or somewhere up in there when America was in the midst of a crisis. But so they got all these ports they done built up all over Africa, all over the world. So-called, they revived the road, Marco Polo Silk Road. They done revived it, but it's on steroids. So we, in the scriptures, he says in Isaiah 60, I think it is, that he says the ships of Tarsus is gonna come and take and bring their daughters from afar, and their sons and daughters gonna bring them back from afar, the ships of Tarsus. So when you go back to when that was written, the ships of Tarsus, those were merchant ships. Ships that was large ships that was loaded down with material, right? So who got all the merchant ships today? China and Russia. They got, especially China. You got the Road and Belt Initiative. The ships, the Road and Belt Initiative is connected by the hip to these ships. Ships of Tarsus. These huge merchant ships. Like I said, it's not hard to figure out. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? Or I'll open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything? We talked about last night, while you were studying, something you heard? Any questions?
Those are not at this time.
Yeah, so I want to shine a light on this. I shined it on before, but it's a little more information right here. Then we go into reading. This is about what happened with Marcus Garvey. It's got to be understood.
Marcus Garvey stood as a beacon of hope in an era of despair. Born in Jamaica on August 17, 1887, Garvey experienced firsthand the sting of colonialism and systemic...
Like I was saying with prophecy, he ain't prophesied this. That's why it ain't unfold like it's supposed to. He ain't prophesied about no Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. That's why it ain't unfold. Like that's how it ended like it did. Okay?
Racism. His early life shaped his understanding of inequality and ignited a burning passion for change. Witnessing the oppression of Black people in Central America and reading about the atrocities they faced.
This the origins of Pan-Africanism. Yahweh ain't included in that. Heaven and Yahweh ain't included in that.
In the United States, he asked a profound question. Where is the Black man's government? Where is his king, his kingdom? Where is his president, his country, his men of big affairs? Garvey's realization that these institutions did not exist became the catalyst for his life's mission. He declared,
trying to do more side work.
I will help to make them.
See that?
Garvey was not content to merely criticize the system. He sought to dismantle it. His vision was rooted in the belief that all Black people were connected by their shared experiences of oppression. This was not just a personal mission. It was a movement to unify Black people worldwide. Garvey saw unity as the key to liberation and dedicated his life to making it a reality. A life of injustice and determination. In Garvey's era, Black people faced unimaginable discrimination. They were relegated to the margins of society, often forced to endure public humiliation and systemic exclusion. In some places, Black individuals were even required to step off sidewalks or wooden plank paths to allow white people to pass. This degradation was not only physical, but also deeply psychological, stripping away dignity and self-worth. These injustices fueled Garvey's resolve. He understood that self-respect was the foundation of liberation. His speeches resonated deeply with those who heard him, igniting a sense of pride and hope among Black communities. His message was clear. Be proud of your race. Stand tall. Do not let the world make you small. The turning point, East Street Louis riot. A pivotal moment in Garvey's journey came in July 1917 during the East St. Louis riot. This massacre left hundreds of African Americans dead and highlighted the brutal reality of racial violence in the United States. While other leaders organized silent marches in response, Garvey called for action. Addressing an emergency meeting in Harlem, he declared, "This is no time for silence. Black men all over the world are disunited, and because of this, we are oppressed. We must unite and fight back." This speech marked a shift in Garvey's focus from local issues in Jamaica to the broader racial struggles in America. He recognized that the fight for Black liberation was global, and his efforts needed to reflect that scale. The vision of unity and pride. Garvey's philosophy was revolutionary. He believed that Black people needed to reclaim their history and culture, which had been stripped away during centuries of enslavement and colonialism. He reminded his followers that their history did not begin with slavery. Instead, it was rooted in the grandeur of African civilizations. "We have a glorious history," he proclaimed, "and we shall create another that will astonish the world." To achieve this vision, Garvey emphasized organization. In 1914, he founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, with the goal of uniting all people of African descent. The organization quickly grew into a global movement, with chapters in the Americas, Africa, and the Caribbean. The UNIA
Notice that, play that back. That's what our Israelites said. Like I said, this is why it ain't work. You're trying to do Yahweh work.
African descent. The organization quickly grew into a global movement, with chapters in the Americas, Africa, and the Caribbean.
That's what the Israelites said.
The UNIA became a hub for Garvey's ambitious plans to uplift Black communities through education, economic empowerment, and cultural pride. The power of symbolism. Garvey understood the importance of symbolism in fostering unity. He created the red, black, and green flag as a symbol of Black pride and solidarity. "Show me a race or nation without a flag," he said, "and I will show you a race of people without pride." The flag became a unifying emblem for Black people worldwide, representing their shared struggle and aspirations. The UNIA also introduced uniforms and titles for its members, instilling a sense of dignity and purpose. Whether it was a nurse in the Black Cross Nurses or a soldier in the African Legion, every member carried themselves with pride. This visual representation of unity and strength left an indelible impression on both Black and white audiences. Economic empowerment, the Black Star Line. Garvey believed that economic independence was essential for Black liberation. In 1919, he launched the Black Star Line, a shipping company designed to facilitate trade among Black communities and support the return of African Americans to Africa. The company symbolized self-reliance and was a—
So see that? We ain't got to go no further. So he went and got the ships. They always said he gonna do all that. He went and got the ships. Now you see why it ain't work? He went and got them. He ain't mentioning the Lord of Hosts or Yahweh, none of that. Like I said, it's Pan-Africanism. That's what a bunch of these Negroes on right now. That's the reason why they can't see none of this. That's all a bunch of these Hebrews-like groups is tied to that. That's how we got over here. We ain't acknowledge him. And they ain't acknowledging it now. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I was saying the flag is still prevalent today, though.
Yeah, exactly. That's what all it's about. Yeah, it's about. That's why Ghana have the Black Star. That's the Black Star that was from the Star Line. This ship, this cruise ship line he had. That's where the star that's on Ghana flag coming from. Tied to Marcus Garvey. Yeah. So that's the spirit that they're moving around right now. Like I said, Dr. Al Khan and all them, is Pan-Africanism. Even and our Pan-Africanism is those Israelite, those Muslim groups you see today, they tied to that. Just like what they did when they concocted Christianity, they took the Egyptian Book of the Dead and the Tanak, fused it together. That's how you got Christianity. What you see today with these Muslims with Farrakhan and all them, that they done fuse Pan-Africanism with Muslims. Because Marcus Garvey the one had the people running around with all this white on and all that. So they just came with it. And that's how we got what we are today. And it ain't had nothing to do with the creator. Or none of this, nothing he said in the Old Testament. They bouncing off of it here and there, but it's not pointing to the truth of the matter and to who is the guiding force behind world affairs. That's why it ain't working. It ain't gonna work. It's just like they went down, Yahweh going down when it's all said and done. Because he ain't down. It's not him. Same thing gonna happen. They're gonna be sitting there with their mouth open on that. Okay. Any comments?
Shalom, everyone. Brother Leonard, I was going to say exactly what you just said. JC is going down, right? Because
Exactly.
everybody is looking at him as the Redeemer, as the Savior, right? And I was watching a video today, and they were speaking of Trump, right? And I was just reading some of the comments of how they really think he is the man, like he is the one. They were speaking on when he said he was going to be the last president. There's not going to be another president because this is second term, and isn't after the second term they can't run again, right? And I'm saying they don't even see what's about to happen. So just with that being said, I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, they don't see the changes happening in the world. And to me, when he says I'm going to be the last president, I'm looking at the reason why. Because just like you said, the Lord of hosts, his words are not going to come back void.
Exactly. Right. They got some plan that he concocted, the reason he's saying that, but it ain't going to unfold the way he thinks.
Right.
Exactly. It's going to unfold just like the creator said it's going to unfold. And ain't nothing nobody can do about it. Oh, yeah. Okay. Anybody else got anything on that? Any comments, anything else? Before we go into this, I'm gonna have to work my jelly on this. There's a lot of stuff in Jubilee 29 that I want to shine light on. I read this before, but I went back and I was reading it, and a lot of stuff was jumping off the pages. So I'm tying in First Chronicles with Jubilee 29. So I'm gonna read First Chronicles first. All right. So I'm in First Chronicles chapter 28. Okay. Okay. First Chronicles 28 says, this is David's counsel to Israel. This is right at the end of David's, close to the end of his life. It says, and David assembled all the princes of Israel and the princes of the tribes and the captains of the companies that ministered to the king by course, and the captains over 1,000s and the captains over 100s and the stewards over all the substance and the possessions of the king and of his sons, with the officers and with the mighty men and with all the valiant men of Jerusalem. So right there, what I want you to see is as above, so below. See that? But you see right here, what they're doing in Israel, they're doing the same thing in heaven, around Yahweh in heaven. Right here, it says, David assembled all the princes. Keep in mind what's going on in heaven, right? And David assembled all the princes of Israel, the princes of the tribes, and the captains of the companies that minister to the king. See that? They minister to the king by course. So the same thing happening in heaven. Enoch tells us, show us that when he was taken up. He said he saw all these angels swarming around this building, and you know, they was all of them was ministering to the Creator. So we see the same thing right here on earth. It's a duplication of what's happening in heaven, right? So he says, so just imagine when the Shabbat comes. So it says, and the captain of the companies that minister to the king by course. Let me see what's going on. Minister to the king by course. Let me see. Okay. Says, then, verse 2, then David, the king, stood up upon his feet and said, hear me, my brethren and my people. As for me, I had in my mind to build a house of rest for the ark of the covenant of the Lord and for the footstool of our God, and had made ready for the building. So here, right here, you've been hearing this. This is what he talked. This is what the footstool mean right here. I just showed you. Right, as above, so below. Same thing going on in Jerusalem is going on in heaven. So Michael, he's up in heaven on the right hand side of the Father, but down here, Jerusalem is the footstool. Read it again. Then David, the king, stood up upon his feet and said, hear me now, brethren, and my people, right? And as for me, I had in my heart to build a house for the rest of the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and for the footstool of our God. See that? Michael, they God. So his resting place is in heaven on the side of the Most High, but he comes down to the earth. The earth, Jerusalem is his footstool. In the temple that's in Jerusalem. Okay, 3. But the God said unto me, thou shalt not build a house for my name, because thou hast been a man of war and hast shed blood. Right? Howbeit the Lord God of Israel chose me before all, check it out, chose me before all the house of my father, Jesse, like I said last night, before all the house of my father, to be king over Israel forever, forever. For he hath chosen Judah to be the ruler, and of the house of Judah, the house of my father, Jesse, right? The house of my father, and among the sons of my father, he like me, to make me king over all Israel and all my sons. For the Lord hath given me many sons, and he hath chosen Solomon, my son, to sit upon the throne of the kingdom of the Lord our God. See that? And he said unto me, Solomon thy son, he shall build my house in my court, for I have chosen him to be my son, and I will be his father. So let's look at that, like I said. So he told David, Solomon gonna build the temple. He gonna rule after you. Look what happened when David was dying in 1 Kings. It's Abishai went and started killing animals and making sacrifices to be the king. But did it happen? No, because he already spoke it right here. It happened just like he spoke it right here. 7. Moreover, I will establish his kingdom forever, and if he could, if he be constant to do consistent to do my commandments and my judgments, as is this day. Now, therefore, in the sight of all Israel, the congregation of the Lord, and in the audience of our God, keep and seek for all the commandments of the Lord your God, that ye may possess this good land. See that? Possess this good land, and leave it for an inheritance for your children after your father, after you forever. And David encouraged Solomon to build the temple. And thou, Solomon, my son, know that the God of thy father, and serve him with a perfect heart and with a willing mind. For the Lord searcheth all hearts and understandeth all the imaginations of the thoughts. And if thou seek him, he will be found of thee. But if thou forsake him, he will cast thee off forever. Take heed now, for the Lord hath chosen thee to build a house for the sanctuary, to be strong and do it. Then David gave to Solomon his son the pattern of the porch and of the houses thereof, and of the treasuries thereof, and of the upper chambers thereof, and the inner parlors thereof, and of the place of the mercy seat, and the pattern of all that he had by the Spirit, of the courts of the house of the Lord, and of all the chambers round about, of the treasuries of the house of God, and of the treasuries of the dedicated things, also for the courses of the priests and the Levites, and for all the work of the service of the house of the Lord, and for all the vessels of the service in the house of the Lord. He gave of gold by weight, for things of gold, and for all his instruments of all manner of service, silver also for all instruments of silver by weight, right? For all instructions of every kind of service, even the weight for the candlesticks of gold, and for the lamps of gold by weight, for every candlestick, and for every lamp thereof, and for the candlestick of the silver by weight, both for the candlestick and also for the lamps thereof, according to the use of every candlestick. And by the weight he gave gold for the tables of shewbread, and for every table, and likewise silver for the tables of silver. Also pure gold for flesh hooks, and the bowls and the cups. And for the golden basins he gave gold by weight for every basin, and likewise silver by weight for every basin of silver. And for the altar of incense, refined gold by weight, and gold for the pattern of the chariots of the cherubim that spread out their wings and covered the ark of the covenant of the Lord. All this, said David, the Lord made me understand in writing by his hand upon me, even all the works of this pattern. And David said to Solomon, his son, be strong and be of good courage, and do it, and fear not, nor be dismayed, for the Lord God, even my God, will be with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee, until thou hast finished all the work for the service of the house of the Lord. And behold, the courses of the priests and the Levites, even they shall be with thee for all the service of the house of God. And there shall be with thee for all manner of workmanship, every willing and skillful man for all manner of service. Also the princes and the people will be holy at thy commandment. So that was First Chronicles 28. So I mean, there's a whole lot of information in that. Any comments, questions on that? So we see, like I said, we see how the Lord entered into David, like I was telling you, gave him the pattern. Everything that Solomon dealt with, David had already seen in a vision and wrote it and wrote it down. Somebody had something?
No, sir. I was about to just say no, sir. No more. I don't have a question.
Okay. So I'm in Jubilees right here. Just gonna compliment what I just read. I'm in Jubilees 29. I think I read this before, but I'm gonna just compliment what I just read. Connect some dots. Okay, let me get it. Okay, here we go. So I'm in Jubilees 29. It happened when Rachel had given birth. Let me see. Okay. It happened when Rachel had given birth to Joseph that Laban went to shear his sheep, for they were distant from him in 3 days' journey. Jacob saw Laban was going to let me see, the right place. Okay, going to shear his sheep, and Jacob could call Leah and Rachel and spoke spoke sweetly to them in order to convince them to come with him to the land of Canaan. For he told them how he had seen everything in a dream, and all that God had spoken to him, that he should return to his father's house. And they said, to every place where you go, we will go with you. And Jacob blessed the God of Isaac, his father, and the God of Abraham, his father. And then he arose and placed his wives and his children on donkeys and took all his possessions, and he crossed the river, and he came to the land of Gilead, and Jacob hid his intentions from Laban and did not tell him. And in the 7th year of the 4th week, Jacob turned his face toward Gilead in the 1st month, on the 21st day of it, and Laban pursued and overtook Jacob in the mountains of Gilead in the 3rd month, on the 13th of it, and the Lord did not permit him to endure Jacob, for he appeared to him in a dream by night. Okay, here we go. And Laban spoke to Jacob on the 15th of those days, and Laban spoke to Jacob on the 15th of those days. Jacob made a feast for Laban and for all who came with him, and Jacob swore to Laban that day, that Laban also swore to Jacob, that neither should cross the mountain of Gilead to do evil to the other. And he made a heap of stone for a witness there. Wherefore the name of that place is called the heap of witness, after this heap. But before they used to call the land of Gilead the land of Rephaim, the Rephaim were born giants whose height was 10, 9, 8, down to 7 cubits. Their dwelling place was from the land of the children of Ammon to Mount Hermon, and the seat of their kingdom were Carnum and Ashra and Ezra and Meshur and Beon. The Lord destroyed them because of the evil of their deeds, for they were malevolent, and the Amorites were wicked and sinful. And there is no place today which has committed the full range of their sins, and their life on the earth was shortened. Jacob sent Laban away, and he departed into Mesopotamia, the land of the east, and Jacob returned to the land of Gilead, and he passed over Jacob in the 9th month, on the 11th of it, and on that day Esau his brother came to him, and he was reconciled to him, and he departed from him in the land of Shir, where Jacob dwelled in tents. I think I need to be in, let me see, 49. I think I was 49 I was supposed to be reading instead of, yeah, 49. I'm in the wrong place. So I'm in the book of Jubilees, chapter 49, in correspondence to what I just read in the 28th chapter of Chronicles. Say, remember the, go ahead. Somebody say something?
Yes, sir. You said 1 Chronicles. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm in chapter 49 of Jubilees. I'm doing a what you call that?
The correlation in 1 Chronicles 28. Yes, sir.
Comparison, yes.
Yeah, comparison and contrast. Couldn't get it out. Comparison and contrast. So remember the commandments which the Lord commanded you concerning the Passover. You should celebrate it in its season on the 14th day of the 1st month, and you should keep the sacrifice before the evening, and they should eat it by night on the evening of the 15th, from the time of the setting of the sun. Keep that in mind, right? Because we got all this drama going on about when the Sabbath starts, right? And when it ends. See, so he tells them right here, thou should eat it by night. See that? By night, on the evening of the 14th, on the time of the setting of the sun. We're going to see why in a minute. Because on this night, at the beginning of the festival and the beginning of joy, you were eating a Passover lamb in Egypt. See that? So that killed everything everybody was saying about it. He says, the reason why you keep the Shabbat at night, it started at night. See that? Because on this night, at the beginning of the festival and the beginning of joy, you were eating the Passover lamb in Egypt. When all the powers of Main Street had been let loose to kill all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh to the firstborn of the captives or maid servants. in the mill, and even the firstborn of the cattle, right? So he says that the blood, we talked about this before, but I'm gonna go a little more into it. So the blood that was put on the doorpost in Egypt was for ministry, and that remnant that he had with him and those evil spirits. So look what it says. And when all the powers of ministry had been let loose to kill all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of the Pharaoh to the firstborn of the captives, maid servants in the mills, even the firstborn of cattle. So this expands on Michael Rowe. This is why you know he's the Lord of hosts. So not only is he in control over all of mankind and all the angels in heaven, but he's in control over all these spirits, these wicked ass spirits too. They're subject to him. So evidently they had a council meeting, and he told them that I'm gonna tell the Israelites to put the blood over the doorposts, and man, one of y'all bet not go in there if you see the blood on the post. Right? Look at verse 3. This is the sign. See that? He had already told them. Remember, they're gonna kill a lamb. Not a man. They're gonna kill a lamb and put the blood on the doorpost. And you can't go in there. Right? So it says, this is the sign that the Lord gave them, Main Street. See that? That was the sign he gave them. I'm gonna tell them to put blood on the doorpost. And you bet not go in there. See that? Say, this is the sign that the Lord gave them. In every house, on every doorpost on which they saw the blood of a lamb of the first year, they should not enter to kill. See that? Ain't that something? But should pass by it. That all those should be exempt that were in the house, because the sign of the blood was on the doorpost. Now imagine that. Now go back to the garbage they didn't get you in the New Testament about the blood. See that? Because the sign of the blood was on the doorpost. Now verse 4. And the powers of the Lord did, now you see that? This is the powers of the Lord, mainstream, and these fallen angels and these wicked spirits, they're his powers. Look what it say. And the powers of the Lord did everything as the Lord had commanded them. See that? Ain't that something? And say, and they passed by all the children of Israel, and the plagues did not come on them to destroy them, cattle, man, or dog. Then 5, the plague was oppressive in Egypt, and there was no house in Egypt where there was not one dead, and weeping and lamentation. So guess what? When you understand this right here, just from this understanding right here, well, you got the curses. Well, who you think performed the curses? These damn wicked ass spirits and the demons. They he just sent. Come on. Let it ferment. Anyway, and all Israel was eating the flesh of the parcel lamb and drinking the wine, and was praising and blessing and giving thanks to the Lord God of their fathers, and they were ready to get out from under the yoke of Egypt and the evil bondage. So this is an example of what's going to happen. So the ones that's in these houses, they got the blood on the doorpost, they in the houses rejoicing. They're in the house rejoicing, praising the Lord, blessing and giving thanks. But outside, all hell done broke loose. That's what we're getting ready to look at. If you want to know how it was going to go down, you're looking at it right here. 7, remember this day, all the days of your life. Observe it from year to year, all the days of your life, once a year, on this day, according to all the law of it. And do not forsake it from day to day or from month to month. It is an eternal law and engraved on the heavenly tablets regarding all the children of Israel, that they should observe it on this day once a year, every year, throughout all their generations. This is no limit of days, and this is a law forever. The man who is free from uncleanliness and does not come to observe the Passover on the occasion of his day, and does not bring an acceptable offering before the Lord to eat or to drink before the Lord on that day, a day of his festival, will be guilty. If he is clean and close at hand near the temple, and does not come he shall be cut off, because he did not offer the offering of the Lord in its appointed season, and he shall take the guilt on himself. Now let's look at this. So you got, like I said, you got these Negroes trying to get Passover lambs and all that over here in America, right? So look what it say, verse 9. The man who is free from uncleanness and look at this, and does not come to observe the Passover on the occasion of his day, and does not bring an acceptable offering before the Lord to eat and to drink before the Lord on the day of the festival, he will be guilty. So ain't no temple. We don't have no flocks. So how are we gonna do that? The Lord gone. The Lord gone. Our king and the high priest gone. We don't have no flocks. Ain't no temple. Come on. I was just like I just said, what King and Marcus Garvey and all them doing, they trying to do Yahweh work. And that's why it ain't working. So anyway, verse 10, let the children of Israel come and observe the Passover on the day of its fixed time, on the 14th day of the first month. Now here you go. This is what you got people talking about. Daylight is a day, and the darkness is another day. Some other, but a day consists of morning and evening. 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours dark. That consists of a day. So a Sabbath is a day. So the Sabbath consists of the morning and the evening. 12 hours of darkness and 12 hours light consists of a Sabbath. And it's going to explain it right here. Way better than I could ever done. So verse 10 says, let the children of Israel come and observe the Passover on the day. Look at it, on the day of its fixed time. See that? On the 14th day of the first month. Look at this, between the evenings. See that? What evening? Evening on Friday when the sun go down, and then the evening of the Sabbath at the end of the Sabbath. So he says, a Passover on the day of its fixed time on the 14th day of the first month, between the evenings, 2 evenings. Now check it out. You even go even further. From the third part, look at this, from the third part of the day to the third part of the night, right? For 2 portions of the day, 2 portions, that's 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of darkness. That 2 portions of the day are given to the light, and a third part of the evening. Now watch this. And the Lord commanded you to observe it between the evenings. See that? Between the evenings. And it is not permissible to kill the sacrifice. Look at this. It is not permissible to kill the sacrifice during a period of light. Come on. It's not permissible to kill the sacrifice during any period of light. Now watch this. But only during a period bordering on the evening, and let them eat it at the time of the evening. Right? Why? Because that's when they delivered them, remember? It was the nighttime. We familiar with it. See that? Look here. He says, whatsoever is, let me go back. See, but only during the period bordering on the evening, and let them eat it at the time of the evening until the third part of the night. Whatever is left over of all the flesh from the third part of the night and onward, it shall be burned with fire. And they shall not cook it with water, boil or seed it, nor shall they eat it raw, but roast it on the fire. They shall eat it with care, making sure his head with his inward and his feet are roasted with fire, and they shall not break any bones of it, for the children of Israel, no bones shall be crushed. For this reason, the Lord commanded the children of Israel to observe the Passover on the day of its fixed time, and they shall not break a bone of it, because it is a festival day he commanded. There was no passing over from any other day or any other month, but on the exact day that the festival will be observed. Command the children of Israel to observe the Passover throughout their days, right? Every year, once a year, on the day of its fixed time, and it shall be a memorial well pleasing in the presence of the Lord, and no plagues shall come on them to kill or to strike in that year in which they celebrate Passover in its season and in every respect according to his commands. So now let's go back based on what we just found out about these wicked ass spirits and maiming, right? 15, command the children of Israel to observe the Passover throughout their days every year, once a year on the day of its fixed time. Now watch this. And it shall be a memorial well pleasing in the presence of the Lord. Look at this. And no plague shall come to them to kill or to strike. So what are you talking about? Wicked ass spirits. They're the ones bringing the plagues. He's sending them. Let that from 8. 16. And they shall not eat it outside the sanctuary of the Lord, but before the sanctuary of the Lord, and all the people of the congregation of Israel shall celebrate it in appointed season. Okay. Every man 20 years of age and upward who has come on the day of the Passover shall eat it in the sanctuary of your God before the Lord. Let's go back. Every man 20 years of age and upward who has come on the day of the Passover shall eat it in the sanctuary. We won't have no sanctuary. So this got to happen in the land with the temple there. In the sanctuary of your God before the Lord. He ain't here. Okay. This is how it is written. See that? And ordained. And thou shalt eat it in the sanctuary of the Lord. So you say, what are you talking about? Well, over and over again, I keep showing you that in the book of Enoch and Jasher, he says that Yahweh was on the mountain and he told the angel of the presence, write this down for Moses. Well, that right there tell you who it is right there. You're not dealing with Yahweh. So look what he says. He told the Lord, Yahweh told the angel of the Lord, Michael, write this down for Moses. So look at verse 17, 49 of Jubilee 17. Every man 20 years of age and upward who has come on the day of the Passover shall eat in the sanctuary of your God before the Lord, right? This is how it is written. See that? And ordained. They shall eat it in the sanctuary of the Lord. The Lord of hosts wrote this down. The Lord of hosts is giving this to Moses. 18. And when the children of Israel come into the land of Canaan, that they are to possess, set up the tabernacle tent of the Lord within the land occupied by one of their tribes until the sanctuary of the Lord has been built in the land. There, let them come and celebrate the Passover at the tabernacle of the Lord, and let them kill it before the Lord from year to year. And when the house of the Lord has been built in the land of the inheritance, they shall go there and kill the Passover lamb in the evening. See that? In the evening at a sunset. See that? At the third part of the day. It's at night. And that's when they killed them before and put the blood on the doorpost. So how in the hell is it Sabbath day? Come on. So they shall offer its blood on the threshold of the altar and shall place its fat on the fire, which is on the altar, and they shall eat this fat roasted with fire in the yard of the house, which has been sanctified in the name of the Lord. They may not celebrate the Passover in their cities, nor, look at this, they may not celebrate the Passover in their cities, nor in any place except at the tabernacle of the Lord. Come on. Or before his house, where his name was dwelleth. They shall not stray from the Lord. Moses commanded the children of Israel to observe the ordinance of the Passover as it was commanded. See that? As it was commanded to you. So this is the Lord talking to Moses. Command the children of Israel to observe the ordinance of the Passover as it was commanded to you. So go back to the order. Yahweh told them, the angel of the presence, go and write down all this and teach Moses. Okay. So he says, as it was commanded to you, declare to them every year the purpose and the time of the festival of the unleavened bread. They should eat unleavened bread 7 days. They should observe its festival and bring an offering every day during these 7 days of joy before the Lord on the altar of your God. Celebrate this festival. Check it out. This is the doozy right here. Celebrate this festival with haste, as when you went out from Egypt and you entered into the wilderness of Shur, because on the shores of the sea, you completed it. The exit. See that? So he's telling you the Sabbath day. It kills this Sabbath day daylight crap, because they killed the lamb and put the blood on the doorpost at night. So how in the hell is the Sabbath day half a day, 12 hours of daylight? And they commanded right here when to eat the Sabbath. Why? And when to eat it, and why to eat it when he wanted them to eat it, because you killed the original sacrifice at night. So you're going to kill every year, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to rehash exactly what happened in Egypt. So all these nut buckets, you got to go back and forth with them over there. That kill it right there. Any questions or comment?
That's it right there, Brother Leonard. That's your answer. All questions. Yes, sir. That's it.
Yeah. You do what you want to do with it. Ain't that something?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Like I say, you know just how to do you. All you gotta do is wait on it.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Oh yeah. So everybody good? Anybody got anything else before we close out? Ain't there something? Yeah, I had a golden nugget. Let me read it. It's in the book Enoch right quick. I had wrote it down 3 or 4 times and I looked right over it. So I'm in Enoch right quick. This is a golden nugget. I'm in the book of Enoch, chapter 71, showing you how these people plagiarized, how they got JC. So anyway, and how they got the New Testament. Let me get it. Enoch 71. Okay. Okay, 81. Okay, 71 says, 71 and I'm gonna read all of it. 71 says, and it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated and it ascended into heaven. So right there, what they remind you of, chapter 7, Enoch 71 and 1. It came to pass after this that my spirit was translated and it ascended into heaven. What they remind you of? Anybody can, did that trigger anything for anybody?
JC.
What happened to John?
John?
Yeah. In Revelation. The book of Revelation. Read it. Read John chapter I think it's 1. Yeah. John, Revelation is verse 1. I think it's somewhere in there, around the first 3 or 4 verses.
You saying Revelation? Go to Revelation chapter 1?
Right.
Yes, sir. Okay. Revelation chapter 1. And it says, the revelation of Jesus Christ, which gave God unto him, to shew unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent with signified it by his angel unto the servant John, who bear record of the word of God and of the testimony of Jesus Christ and all of these things that he saw.
It might be verse chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
Let me see if I can find it. 2 and 1.
2 and 1. 2 says, unto the angel of the church of Ephesus write, these things saith he holdeth the 7 stars in his right hand, who walketh in the midst of the 7 candlesticks. Okay. I know that. Keep reading.
Hold on, let me find it. Let me see what that says. Okay, it might be 3.
Brother Leonard, look at John chapter 3.
Yeah, it might be in John.
3 and
yeah,
13. And no man hath ascended up unto heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven.
No, that ain't it.
That ain't it.
That's another example, but it's in Revelation. Yeah, it's been a while since I dealt with this, but it's in Revelation. It's let me get it right quick. It says, I John was in the spirit on the Lord's day. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, 4. Start at verse 4. Chapter 4, verse 1.
Yes, sir. Chapter 4, verse 1. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven, and the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And
That's
he
it.
that
That's it.
That's it.
So
Number 2.
Right. So it's right here. I'm in Enoch. This is where they got it from. And it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated. See that?
Right.
And I ascended into heaven. They got it from.
Okay.
See, and I saw the holy sons of God. So it just reworded another way. Right? So I saw the holy sons of God stepping on the flames of fire. Their garments were white, and their raiment of their faces shone like this snow. And I saw 2 streams of fire, and the light and the fire shone like the halogen. And I fell on my face before the Lord of spirits. And angel Michael, one of the angels, seized me by my right hand and lifted me up and led me forth into all the secrets. So this all they're doing is duplicating what happened to Enoch, but they put it over there on John. See that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so I want to shine a light on that. Anybody else got anything else before we go? And they did that. A lot of this stuff in the New Testament is coming out of the book of Enoch. That's why it's banned. Okay. The concept. They're getting it out of the book of Enoch. Like I said, Enoch was the people stood there and seen Enoch or seeing in the heaven. And the 2 angels came in and he went so far up, then the 2 angels was standing there, and then they saw all 3 of them seeing and go out of sight. The same picture they painted for JC when he left. It's all coming out of the book of Enoch. Like I said, you got to understand they dealing with they plagiarizing the Tanak, the book of Enoch, and the Egyptian book of the Dead. That's how you get Christianity and Buddhism. Okay. So, with that being said, anybody else got anything else before we go?
No, sir.
Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom.
See y'all.
Shalom, everyone.
We got our women's line tomorrow, so see y'all tomorrow. The men can come in through YouTube. Shalom.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it, because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanak, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up, and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.